Hello, everyone. First of all, sorry for the delays in bringing in the episode. So, there has been a lot of things happening around with the community. We are currently conducting a free session on Ping Federate. So, if any one of you are interested, please join the community. We have two sessions every week over the weekend. And so far, there has been 9 sessions. So, if you really want to grow more and learn IAM, please do join the community. Gradually, from here, we'll definitely start covering other domains also. That is the first news. Second is we are conducting the first IAM hackathon in the month of April. Registration is available. Please fill the form, make a team, send me your nominations for your team members, and we will get back to you with the details and the next steps of the hackathon. Third, we really had a meetup session. We had topics around how to prepare for certifications. There were a lot of insights being shared by our community members who actually cleared that some of their IM interviews. And then we had a special guest who talked about their journey around being a principal solution architect. Throughout the month of Feb and Jan, we have had 10 sessions. We have had 3 to 4 troubleshooting sessions. We also had interview prep sessions. And we have covered technical sessions around topics like passwordless. And there are many more coming in the future. So if you really want to be an expert in IAM and want to brag about your knowledge in your organization, feel free to join the community by clicking the link on the description. So that's all from the news section. Coming back to the podcast, this is the continuation of the first episode that we recorded with Shilpa. In the first episode, she spoke about a lot of things specifically for the freshers. In the second episode, it is more about topics that we have covered for people who are already working into identity and access management. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the episode. I'll see you on the other side.
Welcome to India's first identity podcast. Why not IAM?
Hello, everyone. So we did had a great session in the previous episode where we spoke about a lot of things that would be helpful for the freshers, for people or candidates aspiring to be joining the cybersecurity domain from a non-IT or non IAM or cybersecurity field. So hope that episode was helpful for everyone. Now, in this episode, we'll talk about things and topics that would be helpful for someone already working as a part of the IAM or cybersecurity roles, like someone who's already an engineer or an analyst or someone who is aspiring to be a manager or a lead or maybe a leader in IAM. So, this whole episode will walk them through different tips around the different roles and responsibilities, the hierarchy that they can aspire for, current market trends, and some of the tips Shilpa would be sharing with our viewers and listeners. Hey, hi, Shilpa. Quickly, we'll jump into the hierarchy of the organization, right? So, typically, an organization who has a cybersecurity as one of the department and IAM as the department under cybersecurity. What are the different roles and responsibilities that candidates can aspire for or even apply for?
Sure. So, for a fresher entering the field of identity and access management, right, the career progression or a career trajectory typically follows a path of gaining experience, of course, and expanding skills, right? And taking on more challenging roles as they grow up the ladder, right? So, to start with the entry level roles, which typically ranges from 0 to 2 years or 0 to 3 years, right? Wherein candidates can start with an entry level position such as IAM administrator or junior IAM analyst, I would say. So, here the typical responsibilities or the sort of skill set, the experience we look at is, since this is an entry level position, so we do not expect a lot of experience, lot of hands on experience, but they should definitely have the basics of IAM concepts, tools, and processes, right? So, what they can expect in that sort of a role, they would definitely be assisting in terms of the user onboarding, provisioning, and basic access management tasks at this level. This is which is an entry level role, right, of an IAM administrator. Then this moves on to the intermediate roles, which is 3 plus or 4 plus to 7 years. So here they can progress to roles like again IAM analyst or IAM engineer. Here, they need to have more hands on experience in implementing the IAM solutions configuring access controls, and addressing some of the common IAM issues, which they were also previously doing when they made their move into the entry level roles in terms of access management tasks, right? Here, they can also deepen their understanding of IAM standards, compliance, and some of the industry best practices with respect to IAM as well as cybersecurity as a whole. So this ranges from 4 plus to 7 years. And then moving on to the specialization, 7 plus years. So here we typically hire at this level for senior cybersecurity analyst or senior cybersecurity engineers in the team, wherein they have a specialization within the IAM, such as IAM architect or IAM developer or IAM consultant, wherein for a consultant, they do not need to have much more hands on experience technically, right? Here, they can also develop their expertise in terms of specific IAM technologies, programming language, as I was discussing with respect to Java, Python, PowerShell, and specific IAM product. It could be SailPoint, Ping, CyberArk, Okta, ForceRock, and so on and so forth. So here, we usually hire who is a subject matter expert because they would typically be around 8 years, 9 years, or 10 years experience for these specialization roles, right? Because they would also be required to coach or train juniors in the team, right? So juniors will definitely look for their expertise in case they are stuck anywhere. So these will be the subject matter expert, wherein they work on the design solutions. And as I said, they would also be mentoring junior team members. So moving up the hierarchy, Ravi, which is IAM management level, which is 10 plus years, wherein we hire for managers, senior managers, right? Which is 10 plus years, 11 years, 12 years. So when they reach this level, they move into the IAM management roles, wherein they oversee teams, projects, and work on the strategy to in terms of how they want to run their function. So here they usually work on their organization's broader security and the from the business context side. So this is for managers and senior managers. Moving more up the ladder in terms of the strategic leadership, right? You can expect securing executive level positions like CISO, directors, associate director of cybersecurity, wherein they would be working on to create the roadmaps of their specific function and how they want to shape and implement their organization's overall security strategy within EM as a critical component. Their niche still remains identity and access management, but they will still be thinking from the perspective of overall cybersecurity because that still remains the core. They'll also be involved in a lot of strategic decision making and driving some of the security initiatives and organizations' objectives as a whole from cybersecurity per se. So, throughout this progression, it's very important for candidates to obtain relevant certifications, which we discussed in the last episode, and staying informed in terms of what are some of the emerging trends, technologies, and what are the industry best practices with respect to the identity and access management. So last episode, we also discussed about certifications like CISSP, CISM, or any vendor specific IAM certifications that can definitely enhance your credibility when you're applying for different sort of roles. Yes, that's about it.
Okay. Thank you very much, Shilpa. It was a really extensive pathway for anyone who's already in the field and aspiring further to grow themselves, right? It gives a clear picture of
Yeah.
different roles and responsibilities. Now, moving on to another question. Once someone has a clarity of their career
Hmm.
trajectory, right? What they want to do in the future, in the next level.
Hmm.
How important are internal hirings? Because now I see a lot of the companies, internal, whether it's service-based company or a product-based company, they are very much dependent on internal hiring or bringing in a pool of specific skill set, grooming them, training them a bit, and then moving them into a different field. How important is that and how that helps organization?
Great question. So It is very important. So when we open any requisition or when we open any role, we definitely open it first for the internal employees to explore opportunities within their team first. And we parallelly open it for the external market as well. But if we see somebody who wants to switch domain, or if the person have the relevant skill set or understands cybersecurity specifically, we definitely give the chance to that person, because definitely that involves, or that keeps, it's about keeping the employees engaged, and it definitely increases the chances of getting that person building their career, or somebody who wants to switch, right? We are giving them opportunity internally, so that also most of the times works in favor of the employee retention. So if given a choice, if we have candidates applied externally, and if we have candidates applied internally, we definitely evaluate both of these people with respect to the skill set, projects that they have worked on, some of the transferable skills that we were speaking about. And definitely a slight edge is towards hiring the internal talent first and giving them the opportunity to excel within an organization, which definitely leads to the employee retention as well.
Okay, that's a really good understanding because I've seen a lot of internal hirings happening, and from a retention perspective, or from even giving someone an opportunity to
Yeah.
get into the field where they can upskill themselves and grow. These are the two really good initiatives that organizations are taking forward.
Yes. However, in our organization, or probably in most of the organizations, since we are speaking about cybersecurity,
Mhm.
so there are not lot of transferable skills. So the internal mobility is still a challenge when it comes to cybersecurity.
Hmm.
So as I said, somebody who is into cloud, right, working as a cloud engineer,
Mhm.
can still break through cybersecurity because they have a lot of transferable skills. And if we have positions available at an entry level, and probably we can coach that person or train that person into the cybersecurity principles and frameworks, so that still be the right fit. But if we are hiring for senior roles, like I spoke about subject matter experts, senior cybersecurity analysts or engineers or managers, and if a person does not have a lot of transferable skills or does not understand cybersecurity, it still remains a challenge. So yeah, hiring for cybersecurity is definitely and indeed is challenging, be it internally or externally.
Okay, now this reminds me of the next question, which is, can you share some of your challenges that you have faced while hiring for a position in general cybersecurity or in IAM, right? I recall we discussed last time when we met, it really took you almost 100 days to hire one
Yeah.
profile. Can you share this with our viewers and audience?
Sure. Firstly, the challenge is that the importance that is now given to the cybersecurity function is much more higher than it was given any time before, right? So the field is evolving, the demand is more, whereas the talent market is still less. People are breaking through this domain and exploring cybersecurity as a career lately, but it was not so hot previously, right? Nobody was very serious about making a career into cybersecurity. So the availability of talent itself is less, be it any vertical under cybersecurity. It is niche. We all have to agree with that. And why it is niche? Because cybersecurity, since we are moving a lot ahead with respect to the technological advancements, these cyber attackers or these cyber attacks are also getting very sophisticated these days with the advent of artificial intelligence, machine learning, and all of that. So the demand has increased in the last few years, but the talent is still stagnant. And I think it will take few more years for us to see a good pool of availability for these roles, right? So that itself is the demand and supply remains the prime challenge. And candidates who are applying for the roles or who are coming for the interviews, we see a lot of times that they lack the basics. So when I say lack the basics, be it IAM, you spoke about this security operations role that I was hiring for.
Mhm.
The challenge that we faced is that they were not clear about the basics of security operations. They didn't know if they right in any of the tool, be it Splunk tool, SIMS, or whatever tool they are using. if they get an alert, what would or what should be their first point of action?
Mm.
Okay. The incident response is the core of security operations. If they are not clear what will be their first step if they received an alert, then it's a big fail, right? And
Agree.
organizations can definitely cannot take a risk of hiring somebody who do not have the basics correct. So it's very important that you have a solid understanding of fundamental IAM concepts, protocols, and standards. So, with respect to IAM, it's very important. I mean, IAM itself comprises of three major parts. Correct me if I'm wrong, which is authentication, authorization, and RBAC, which is role-based access controls, right? So, if you are applying for entry-level positions in identity and access management, get your basics right. Have a good grasp of these terms: authentication, authorization, be provisioning, and some of the common IAM technologies. Okay.
Mhm.
And most of the candidates that we meet and the feedback that we receive from the hiring managers that they ignore the security principles. So they do not have a clear understanding of the importance of cybersecurity principles and what are some of the best practices that anybody working as a cybersecurity professional should follow. And IAM, as I mentioned, it is no more a standalone function. Any organization wants to set up a cybersecurity, they will still look identity and access management as an integrated security framework, right? So it's very closely tied to the security. So it's very important that you have a clear view and understanding of secure coding practices, encryption, and some of the uh, secure configurations. So that is something that these candidates also lack. And with respect to IAM, they have limited knowledge of IAM standards. So some of the IAM standards or the industry standard that I'm able to recall is SAML or some of the compliance requirements like GDPR, right? So they need to have a clear understanding of these compliance and how they can navigate these standards regularly. And we also initially discuss soft skills. Everyone should understand that soft skills still remains of utmost important because the collaboration that you will be doing once you join any organization. So effective communication, teamwork, and definitely technical concepts are important as equally as soft skills. Yes, and I think identity and access management people also deals a lot with addressing complex issues, right? Because they are also in terms of identifying any threats or anomalies with respect to access, right?
Yes.
So it's important that they showcase their problem solving skills also by giving any sort of examples in their real life situation or any projects they worked on while they are getting interviewed. Yes, and if you know in which product or which IAM suite of products you want to specialize in, get the in and out of that IAM tool and technology.
Agreed. And to just add to one of your point in terms of security mindset, I would say, just to
Hmm.
summarize this whole thing, because I am, if we specifically talk about the tools, you have SailPoint, Ping,
Yeah.
Okta, CyberArk. Yes, from implementation perspective, if you are an engineer or an analyst or a developer doing the implementation, that is one core part where you sit and
Yeah.
implement. But the other part is once your implementation is done and you
Hmm.
have the internet, there are attackers sitting
Yeah.
and ready to attack that particular tool product through various ways of compromising the identity. I think that
Hmm.
is where, when you talk about security principle, right? It's
Hmm.
basically the mindset that is required. That, for example, if I am writing a code, how do I make sure that if I that code goes out in the market, how is it worked over the practices? Like OWASP has some frameworks, right, that you should be following. APIs has their own set of some security principles that you should be following while developing an API. Similarly, if you have a security mindset, again, security mindset does not mean you have to read hundreds of books. Just making
Hmm.
sure you're aware whenever
Yeah.
you're sitting and doing any implementation or practices, like how are the passwords stored? What
Hmm.
is the complexities that those password would have? Are they going to be used from internal network or external network? Who are the users that are going to use? What devices they would have? These are some of the basic kind of thought that should go inside building these systems. I think that should be good enough to start off with. And gradually, when you read frameworks like NIST and other articles that you have, that I would say this is basically a journey. You really cannot
Yes,
have everything, put it on the resume, and then you're done. You start with a mindset, gradually you go deep, and it depends on person to person. But yes, start having a security mindset, whether you are in cybersecurity in general or IAM. And I think that is what is currently missing and where the resumes get rejected, right?
absolutely. Can't agree more.
I would like to add just around this. What are some of the red flags that you see in a resume because of which it gets rejected? Can you name like three things that you should not be putting in your resume?
Flag, see, gone are the days when we used to consider gap in your employment as red flags, right? Which is no more a case. If you have the right reasons to support why you took that break, it could be of various reasons. So yes, that's is something that is not considered now. If you have a red flag but you still are staying abreast in terms of the security principles, frameworks, and you have the right skill set, you still have the opportunity to get that interview right. Some of the red flags I would say when I screen through resumes,
Like, why would you
I
reject them?
okay. So I definitely we have a job description according to which we evaluate a candidate's resume, right? If I am looking for engineer, I would definitely look for somebody who would have mentioned in their project about how they designed and implemented and then later worked on the IAM operations. But I see a lot of resumes wherein they have exactly same set of responsibilities in one project, then again in the second project, again in the third project. How is that possible that they were doing same tasks and activities in each and every project? So that's a big red
Yeah.
flag for me. Why there was no value addition when you changed your projects and how stayed abreast in terms of some of the security principles. Apart from that, I think that's all. There is actually no red flag until you speak with the candidate. Even if you feel that there is something that I feel is not right about this profile, I will still make a call to that candidate and try to understand his or her journey and probably get a little bit more insight on how this person can add value and what skill set they are working on. And if I feel something is not right, I would still, if I feel they have the relevant skills and the sort of skills that I am looking for, I would still make a call to that person. And if I feel something is not right and the profile can get rejected by the hiring manager, I would probably ask that candidate to modify the profile accordance to the job description and what exactly we are looking at for at least for that person to at least land an interview if the person has done that job. Because most people, not many people are good at crafting a good resumes. I know with the advent of artificial intelligence, it's just a matter of a few minutes or probably a half an hour job that is required, and it can give you a beautifully articulated and well drafted and crafted job resume. But still, a lot of candidates do not know how to write their resume and they just write their skill set in a way which is not in sequence and it is not in a chronological order. But yeah, as a recruiter, I think it's your job to help them give an opportunity. And after speaking only, you realize what the candidate has worked on, and you have certain set of questions that you typically evaluate candidates on basis the job description and your intake discussion with the hiring managers. So yes, I don't reject any resume upright basis what is written. But if I scan the entire resume and I still feel that person has the right skill set, I still make an effort to call them up and see how they can match it up. And then if I see that basis my journey of knowing hiring managers and their trend of rejecting or selecting a resume, I ask candidates to modify in a way which eventually would help them land up an interview and then showcasing their skill sets. So I'll probably try to give you an instance. So I was hiring for a senior manager, enterprise incident management and disaster recovery role. So that candidate actually had a lot of good experience. He comes from Wells Fargo and he had set up that capability for that organization. Okay. So we were looking out for somebody who would have experience into cyber security incidents. and disaster recovery, have experience on crisis management. This candidate looked good to me. However, I could not see a lot of cybersecurity incident response experience or incident management experience. So response is a different team, but this was a lot more revolving around the incident management experience.
Okay.
But I still made an effort to give a call to that candidate. And however, that candidate was not even an active job seeker. But once I explained him roles and responsibilities and tried to understand what sort of function or capability he has set up in his organization, he really turned out to be such right fit for that role. And I just think about it now. What if I would have rejected that candidate just that he didn't mention one of the skill set that I'm looking at? And then I asked this candidate that for me to put your resume more strongly to the hiring manager, you need to make these modifications and enhancements in your resume or probably add certain keywords which definitely hiring managers would look for.
Agreed.
So I think as a recruiter, it is your responsibilities because eventually you are matching opportunities to the talent.
Yeah, I think and this particular point that you just said will help a lot of recruiters and talent team, right, on how to hire the right set of talent. It does not necessarily be on the same domain or having the same skill set, but even if there is a relevance in terms of the day in, day out of work that they have done, the right mindset and the experience, I think it's basically a matter of maybe 2, 3 weeks of them understanding and executing it
Yeah.
in the role, right? So
Yeah.
it is a really, I would say, a thing that I would appreciate from your side, Shilpa, because again, not a lot of the recruiters or talent team would put such effort or even take a lot of bet like this. But yes, something that other recruiters should consider doing. So
Yes, because as I said, not many people know how to write their resume. So if you look at some of the resumes, it's just all over the place. But when you speak to that person, and these are some of the people who have cracked those interviews and made it to the organizations. So just it's not right for the recruiters or even for the hiring managers to just rely on a two-page CV and judge a candidate basis that. However, I will still say that a good resume still plays of great importance and you should definitely spend some time on your resume to see eventually it will land up to a great organization and a great job. So
okay,
yes, investing time is important on your resume. But yeah, for recruiters, I just thought of sharing an insight.
great. Thank you very much, Shilpa. As you said, like there are a lot of opportunities and a lot of hiring, and you don't have the right candidate. There are so many openings, but you don't have the right set of people. I would like to understand what changed pre-COVID and post-COVID. Like, how was the world in terms of recruitment before COVID, and has anything changed after COVID based on your
So definitely pre-COVID, post-COVID, the interview patterns have changed. Initially, when we were definitely gone are the times after we recovered from that era of COVID, we were meeting those candidates physically face to face. We were calling them to office face to face for
Mhm.
first round, second round, third round. I think that effort and I think we are saving a lot in terms of the time, energy spent to call the candidates to the office, take the interviews. While post COVID, we are doing everything virtually, starting from interviewing the candidates to onboarding. Most of the organization they are now doing virtual onboarding, and they had
Mm.
started doing a virtual onboarding post COVID. So the interviews and the onboardings have changed drastically post COVID. It has moved to a virtual thing now. And hybrid model, if I talk about, most of the organizations are now back to office or probably following a pattern of hybrid model wherein employees are required to work on a specific number of days from office and then rest of the days they can continue working from home. And this has helped a lot of people, or I would say a lot of female employees to enter back into the workforce because
Okay.
now they have a lot more flexibility in terms of managing house and managing their work because of the hybrid culture that we are following. So post COVID, if you see, a lot of women have entered back to the workforce. So that's the biggest change we have seen. And I think it's great if we talk about the diversity, right?
Agreed.
Yes. So in our organization, we are also conducting virtual interviews. However, we are making it mandatory for the joiners to come to office on their day one, explore the office, meet with people, collaborate, take the induction face to face, and probably just see the culture and be in the office and take the look and feel on their first day. So just to give it a personal touch, we have made it mandatory for the virtual onboarding,
Okay.
mandatory for the face-to-face onboarding. I'm sorry. Yes, but eh, we are now deciding upon to see if somebody who have cleared the first or the second round of interviews, if we can meet them in their final interviews face to face,
Okay.
because that would again give a personal touch, and that interview is off for the managerial discussion, right, wherein we are evaluating candidates based on cultural fitment or overall fitment or what sort of value addition or cultural addition they can bring. Yeah, we're going to make it important for those candidates in the final round if they can come to office and meet and have a face-to-face final round interview. Yeah, in these ways, things have changed post.
And in terms of the job trends, do you see there were less requirement of cybersecurity pre-COVID, and then there has been a drastic increase now?
Yes, I think so, because pre-COVID, I don't think there were a lot of jobs in our organization itself, but now jobs have opened up like anything with respect to cybersecurity, because people are connected virtually, right?
Mhm.
And as I said, that organizations have moved from on-prem to cloud. So there's a lot of cloud. There are systems, servers, or data networks. All now, everything is now hosted on cloud, and your employees are connected virtually. So I think cybersecurity has taken even more edge in terms of the hiring.
And now going back to one of the interesting questions, right? Which is the pay. Like, how is the pay in cybersecurity or IM in general? Is it good or is it average or is it really paying high?
If I talk about the analysts and engineers, we all know that engineers, since they have a lot of technical experience, they have experience on coding, then security, designing, implementation, all of that. So definitely engineers when compared to administrators, or and as you move up the ladders, managers, senior managers who are hands-on technical experience, they are paid high as compared to persons who are on the operation side or on the governance side of it.
Okay.
So yes, there is definitely a difference when it comes to engineers and analysts, hands-on experience, or somebody who is into the governance on the operation side.
Okay. So basically, a specialist
Yes,
may be getting a really good paid compared to an
yes,
engineer. So anyone who is an engineer can
yeah,
aspire to be a specialist or an architect in the IM domain and definitely earn really good salary.
yes, yes. And that goes for IT as well, right?
Yes, yeah, overall IT as well. Sorry, I'm just thinking question. I'm just looking at the
Okay.
seat. Okay, now towards as we are approaching towards the end of our episode, I will be going across the audience Q&A. From audience question perspective, I have two questions. The first one is AI, as you see, right? Like it's on boom nowadays. How can someone keep themselves updated in terms of the advancement in IAM, PAM, especially in terms of the jobs that you see, right? Are you going to see a decline on the admin roles or increase on the engineer or specialist role? What do you see over there with the advent of AI?
So, with the advent of artificial intelligence and machine learning, I know all of us have been speaking about it ever since we saw ChatGPT coming in, and after that, Bard AI and other lot of different organizations started introducing their own artificial intelligence tools. So, I think there will not be any decline in the opportunities
Mhm.
or in the roles, but definitely these AI tools can help to a great extent for all of, be it into the technology, be into the recruitment, to make your jobs faster and effective.
Okay.
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 Because I think even if I talk about the identity and access management, right, many organizations I know of are using AI and machine learning, wherein they are using this to detect the threats or the anomalies in the infrastructure, right?
Yeah.
And they are using it to find out the behavior analytics. So they are using it to their advantage rather than they are seeing it as a threat.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you very much. Shilpa, going back to the next question, I think this is again a repeat, but if you can go back to that again, what type of profiles are mostly shortlisted specific to IAM?
Yeah, so definitely that gets diversified if I'm hiring for an engineer or analyst. And we spoke about it in the last episode about different keywords which I would typically type in when I look for a certain type of a candidate. For example, if I'm hiring for an engineer wherein I need a lot of experience into the implementation of the IAM suite of products. So I would look for a candidate who would have mentioned in any of their project or in the summary of their profile wherein they describe that they have been a part or they have hands-on experience with design and implementation of the IAM systems.
Mhm.
And there is a separate section that usually I've seen these candidates build in their resume wherein they type in what sort of scripting experience they have, what sort of programming language, what sort of tools they are using. So that also gives us a clear understanding and has a separate column wherein we can just scan it through and see what sort of tools they are currently using, which tools they have hands-on experience. And if we want to dive deeper in terms of how they have implemented these solutions, we look for those in their projects in detail. And similarly, for analysts, we look for certain keywords like access controls and what sort of
Mm.
tools they have been using, because they would also be using SailPoint, CyberArk, and so right, Active Directory, and so on. So yeah, there are certain keywords that we use and which we assume that these candidates, if they are working in any domain or any role, they would typically use these words, and these words come as a very popular in their day-to-day responsibility.
Great. So really great insight. Thank you very much, Shilpa. Moving on to my third question, which is women in cyber, right? So, what would be your suggestions for mainly all our women IT professionals to encourage them to move into cybersecurity or IAM?
So we need them as much as we need anybody in any role or any organization, because of definitely we need lot more diversity in the organizations, because when we bring in diversity, there's diverse perspectives, there's a diverse culture, right? And when you have a great set of diversity in an organization, the objectives of that organization, the values are defined, which supports every employee working in that organization. So we need more diversity. I'm not only focusing on gender diversity, it can be of any diversity. We need more diversity into cybersecurity. We still see a challenge when we talk about IT, but there is still a good proportion of female employees or female candidates in the market for information technology as compared to cybersecurity. We still see that there is a huge talent scarcity of women candidates. So definitely cybersecurity is something that women should definitely look to think about this and making their career into it. And they can choose what suits them best and what current skill set that they have in, and they can make great cybersecurity professionals. Yes, we definitely look for diversity, and it is still niche in the market when we speak about cybersecurity.
Great. So, really great advices, Shilpa, with the Q&A. So, we move on to the last segment, which is 5 tips that you would want to give to someone who's preparing for the cybersecurity or IAM interview.
First, that goes without saying, and we discussed it about a lot about this in our last episode and this episode, which is crafting a good resume. Okay. You want to land up an interview, craft a good resume, take the help of artificial intelligence or some of the AI tools that are there in the market. You give them some content and they will deliver some of the amazing results, which you can definitely include in your resume. So take the help, or there are a lot of some resume builder sites, or there are certain consultants that usually consult you in terms of how you can craft your resume specific to the job description or specific to the role that you're applying for. So I've seen people that they have 4 or 5 resumes, because the moment they see any job, they craft their resume according to the job description.
Okay.
Okay. Just to ensure that their resume gets shortlisted and they land up an interview. So, interview tip number one, that craft a very good resume.
Mhm.
Second would be good EM basics, right? We spoke about basics, get your basics right. cybersecurity principles, frameworks, some of the industry best practices. So get your IAM basics right, get the right grasp on the terms like authentication, authorization, role-based access controls, provisioning, onboarding a user on IAM, all of that.
Okay.
Then we already spoke about security principles and the security standards, some of the frameworks that you should be aware of, IAM standards like GDPR and all of that. Soft skills, we did discuss that as well. Soft skills still remains of great importance because as a cybersecurity, you collaborate with different cross-functional teams and you work in a team. So it's very important that you are able to articulate your thoughts in a way which gets understood by everyone. As much as you pay attention to your hard skills, you need to also ensure that you are paying equal focus to the softer sides of the skills as well. And then problem solving skill.
Most important, yes.
Yes, cybersecurity professionals, they are not every day is same for them, right? That's what I understood speaking to a lot of candidates. So problem solving skills, ensure that you are showcasing your problem solving skills in the interviews by giving different examples or how you dealt with that situation. So that will definitely give you the edge to crack that interview, be it a fresher or be it somebody who already have experience, because you guys are always dealing with the complex issues. So you need to use your judgment and your prior experience and expertise in terms of how you can get that right. So
Understood.
yes, I think would be my top interview tips.
Okay. I would like to just add one thing, which is, and by the way, these five are really great insight into someone trying to clear an interview. So thank you very much, Shilpa. So to add on to one thing is try working on in a lot of various use cases so that it gives the perspective to the hiring manager that this person has not only done a similar kind of work but seems interested to a lot of various kind of things, and that in turn helps with the problem solving skills, because the more you delve into different use cases, the more problem you have solved. So in
Right.
turn it helps you with both the things. So try explaining multiple use cases that you have done to the hiring manager so that it increases your chances of getting selected, because maybe I may have approached there, say I've done implementation of SailPoint, right? Three times, but I've done implementation of SailPoint in a product company, in a service company, or in a different environment, in a cloud or on-prem. That itself stands out if you look at the two resume with someone who have done a single thing four times versus someone who have done multiple things. But it is just sale point or often. But they have tried different environments, right? So I feel use case plays a very important role.
Absolutely. That was a great insight.
So with that, we come to the end of the episode. I would really want to thank you, Shilpa, and few comments from my side or compliment from my side for you, Shilpa, is throughout my career, yes, I have interacted with a lot of HR personals, talent personals, right? But I've never come across an HR personal with so much expertise in the domain that they are recruiting, especially when you talk about the different terminologies, right? It definitely gave me a shock on how so much about the different domains, like when you said SAML, RBAC, provisioning, and all of this, that was something that I found this new, right? Basically, this was, and I really appreciate you. It makes me feel that you love your job so much that you have gone so much in depth with the domain itself, and that in turn helps the hiring manager, the candidate applying for the job, as well as helps you secure a really good candidate. It may not be in that field, but as you were able to secure a position for a particular candidate. So I really appreciate you on behalf of all the candidate who will be applying in your company to have such a really great HR professional in their team who really takes care of not only the internal team members but also the external candidates who are applying. And I really want to thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Firstly, for giving me this opportunity. This is my very first time. I said yes just because I am very passionate to hire for cybersecurity.
Mhm.
Because ever since I joined this organization, I had actually joined as a contractor here, and
Okay.
then I got my hands on to hire across different functions, be it finance, credit,
Mhm.
operations. product, technology, cybersecurity. But this cybersecurity function was something that really grasped my attention because of the work that you guys do, right? It's not easy, and you deal with so complex situations every single day. And there are so many things that I get to learn a lot on everyday basis. Every candidate I speak to, I get to learn something different. And that's how I have grasp of different terminology. Because every time I get a role, it's very important for me to first understand the role myself. That's how I'll be able to explain the candidate that what is the role that I have for you, right?
Agreed.
If I don't understand what is identity and access management, I think I'm not even the right recruiter to speak to the candidates, because what he or she would be telling me, they would not understand.
Yes, absolutely.
So I've always paid attention on.
But yeah, with this, we conclude the episode. Thank you very much, Shilpa. It was really great having you, and we would really love our audiences and listener to share their comments on how their experience was learning and going through this entire journey with your experience. So, with that, we conclude this, and thank you very much, Shilpa. We wish we connect again.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you if you have made it till here. I hope the entire session was very learning and you had a very good experience. So, in the next episode, we move into more technical topics because we have a guest who was a former solution architect at Ping Identity, and he has shared so much about the entire world of Ping, Federation, single sign on, automation. Like, you'll really enjoy the entire episode. It'll be a 2 episode series which will be hosted next week. So stay tuned and keep supporting. Do register for the hackathon. I'm your host Ravi, and thank you.